Your cat knows exactly how to make you stand up, open a door, fill a bowl, or stop whatever you are doing. That sounds like training, just not the kind most people imagine. Humans say we domesticated cats thousands of years ago, but we never captured them, assigned them jobs, or controlled their breeding the way we did with dogs. Cats walked into our settlements on their own, and once they arrived, human behavior began to change. The traditional version of the story begins with farming. Once people settled and stored grain, they created a permanent food source for rodents. Rodents attracted small wildcats. The cats that could hunt beside noisy human villages gained access to concentrated prey. Humans lost fewer supplies. Neither side needed affection, neither side needed a plan. One species built a new environment. The other discovered how to use it. For years, scientists placed the beginning of this relationship in the Near East around the rise of agriculture. A burial on Cyprus, roughly 9,500 years old, seemed to support that idea. A human and a cat had been placed close together in the same grave. Cats were not native to the island, so people must have transported one there. That proves an early human-cat connection. In 2025, researchers compared dozens of ancient and modern cat genomes. Their results challenged the clean story of domestic cats traveling into Europe with the first farmers. The cats found at many early European and Anatolian sites were genetically wild cats, not the ancestors of modern pets. The first clearly domestic cat genomes in Europe appeared much later, around the Roman period, and traced most closely to North Africa. The process required no secret feline strategy. A cat did not need to understand agriculture. It only needed to notice that mice were easier to find near people. A human did not need to invent cat ownership. It only needed to notice that food stores lasted longer when a small predator lived nearby. Cats that remained calm enough to stay were rewarded with prey and shelter. Humans who tolerated them were rewarded with protection. Each side repeated the behavior that worked. That is not a friendship at first. It is a feedback loop. Then humans began doing something the cats could never have done alone. We carried them. Ships loaded with grain created the same rodent problem as villages, except now it floated across the sea. Trade routes, ports, military settlements, and expanding cities gave cats a chain of artificial hunting grounds. Recent genome evidence suggests domestic cats entered Europe from North Africa roughly 2,000 years ago, probably through Mediterranean connections. Within a relatively short historical period, a regional predator gained access to a continent. The cat hunted the mouse, the human moved the cat moved with the human. Somewhere during that movement, utility became meaning. In North Africa, and especially in ancient Egypt, cats entered homes, art, religion, and burial practice. They were no longer valuable only when a rodent appeared. People began assigning individual cats social and symbolic importance. That shift matters because domestication is not only a change inside an animal, it is also a change in the human rules surrounding it. A predator once tolerated at the edge of a settlement had entered the protected center of human life. This is the first sense in which the relationship reversed. Humans believed they were transporting a useful animal. From the cat's evolutionary perspective, humans had become a distribution system. We supplied enclosed territory, reliable prey, protection from larger predators, and passage across barriers a wildcat could never cross. A species that once occupied part of Africa and the Near East eventually reached farms, ports, islands, cities, and homes across the planet. We did not merely keep cats alive, we multiplied the environments in which their strategy could succeed, but surviving beside humans required more than killing rodents. It required managing distance. Wildcats are solitary, territorial, and cautious. The individuals that succeeded around people had to tolerate movement, voices, buildings, other cats, and repeated close contact. Genome studies suggest that cat domestication affected pathways connected with fear, memory, and reward, but the overall transformation remained modest compared with many domestic animals. A house cat can live inside a human family and still retain the body, reflexes, and hunting sequence of a small wild predator. It is domesticated, just not completely rewritten. Even its appearance changed late. Ancient DNA studies found that the genetic variant associated with the blotched tabby pattern became common only after the Middle Ages. For thousands of years, people apparently cared more about what cats did than how they looked. Intensive selection for breeds and exaggerated features is mostly recent. The working arrangement came first, the designer animal came much later, and then the relationship moved beyond pest control. Humans started feeding cats even when there were no mice to catch. We let them occupy warm rooms, we protected kittens, We treated individual animals as companions rather than interchangeable workers. Once that happened, a new kind of selection became possible. A behavior no longer needed to improve hunting, it only needed to produce a useful response in a human. Consider the sound your cat makes when it wants breakfast. Adult cats do not use meowing with one another in the same way they use it with people. Human listeners can extract information from different meows, especially when they know cats well. More revealing is the solicitation purr. Researchers recorded cats purring normally and purring while asking for food. The demanding version contained a higher frequency voiced element. People judged it as more urgent and more difficult to ignore, even when they were not cat owners. The purr still sounded comforting. Hidden inside it was a signal built to interrupt comfort. The bond is not only manipulation. Experiments using tests adapted from human infant research have found that many cats show distinct attachment patterns toward their caregivers. They seek proximity, react to separation, and use a familiar person as a source of security in an unfamiliar place. The early bargain may have begun with rodents, but the modern relationship can carry genuine dependence in both directions. A cat can learn how to activate human care because human care is already available. The cat does not need to know why that signal works. Evolution does not require intention. Learning does not require a theory. A cat makes a sound, a human stands up, food appears. The behavior is repeated. If another sound fails, it fades. Over time, each household develops its own private system of calls, glances, positions, and routines. The cat learns which signal moves the human. The human learns how quickly to move. That is training, not genetic domestication of our species. Cats did not control which humans reproduced, and they did not reshape the human genome into a population of natural servants. The literal claim goes too far, but behavioral control does not need breeding. It only needs a reliable connection between an action and a reward. Press the lever, receive food, scratch the door, gain access, sit beside the empty bowl, summon the large primate. Humans trained cats too. We rewarded the animals that approached, tolerated touch, used litter, and fitted into domestic life. But the exchange was never one-directional. Cat owners adjust furniture, sleep, travel, spending, and daily schedules around an animal that often ignores direct commands. We call this care because that is what it has become. Yet care is also behavior, and cats are exceptionally good at triggering it. So, did cats domesticate humans? In the strict biological sense, no. In the behavioral sense, they found something almost as useful. They entered an environment we created, provided a service we needed, allowed us to spread them, and developed signals that keep our attention focused on them. Humans changed, which cats succeeded? Cats changed what humans were willing to do for a small predator. The bargain began with grain and mice. It ended with heated beds, veterinary hospitals, automatic feeders, and people reorganizing entire homes around the preferences of an animal that can still hunt for itself. Your cat does not understand this history. It does not need to. Tonight, it may sit beside a closed door and make one carefully chosen sound. You will recognize the signal, you will stand up, you will open the door, and the training will continue.